You guys like that? Hey guys, the Giga Chat has returned. As of now, I don't have a nice microphone, so bear with me. Today I'm going to be ranking my top 15 coasters as of today, in light of the many cool coasters I anticipate to ride this summer. If you haven't seen that video already, go check it out. It's on my channel page. And if you're new to the channel with a cursed name, please subscribe. Now somebody play the intro. As you all know, there isn't an exact method to ranking coasters, and it's subjective to one's individual experiences, how the ride was running, etc. So don't be offended if I disliked one of your favorite coasters, as the point of ranking is just to have fun. And let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite roller coasters, and what do you agree with about this list, and what do you disagree with? Well, starting off the list is Thunder Striker, formerly known as Intimidator at Carowinds. This is a massive B&M Hyper, standing 232 feet tall, with an in-your-face white and red color scheme. It's an okay Hyper, and I got decent airtime from the two rides I got on it, one in the front and the other in the back. The trims do hit a little harder than on other Hypers, and the turnaround after the drop wastes a lot of good energy, but this is still a solid ride. Moving on to number 14, we have Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is an old-gen Intamin launch coaster, very similar to Maverick at Cedar Point in design, but drastically different with its layout. Cheetah Hunt weaves across the park and with the terrain for a staggering 4,429 feet, making it the longest coaster in the park. It lacks the intensity of Maverick with its drawn-out, sprawling turns, but man, are those turns on Cheetah Hunt really fun. Every one of the 5 times I rode this, the drop delivers surprisingly intense ejector airtime, which really threw me off guard. Definitely ride this in the front if you can, although you might get some dirt in your face. Let's drive an hour northeast, though, to Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom, where we have Expedition Everest, Legend of the Forbidden... I'm not saying all that. Expedition Everest opened in 2006 as the most expensive roller coaster in the world at the time, at an incredible $100 million estimated dollars. It's not hard to see why, as the coaster is built into this massive 199-foot tall artificial mountain. Combine that with forced perspective, and it really feels like you're walking up to a mountain. Arguably the most intense coaster from Disney other than Rock and Roller Coaster, Expedition Everest has some of my favorite theming of any roller coaster, which puts it up here for me. Let's go from Animal Kingdom though to Epcot, where we have Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic... Disney, can you just make shorter names? My goodness. Guardians is well said the best roller coaster from Disney in the world, and it is probably the most technologically advanced in my opinion. The amount of screens, the quality of those screens, and the controlled spinning technology developed by Disney in partnership with Vekoma makes it no wonder it is the most expensive roller coaster ever built, at a whopping $500 million estimate. Not to mention it's about 5,000 feet of track stuffed into a building. Well, it's actually one of the longest roller coasters in the world. This ride is loads of fun, especially if you get the song that you want. I personally like September. The theming on the previous two was so good, it was really hard for me to rank them. But for today at least, I just had to go back to my home park. It's Pipeline the Surf Coaster at SeaWorld Orlando. All I can say about this ride is that the standing airtime and the way the seats bounce with you is the most unique form of airtime I've come across. It catches me off guard every time, starting with a well-done launch. This ride does kind of go downhill from there, in that it doesn't end with a bang, and the ending is rather short with a few helixes, but even then there are some good pops of airtime. It may not be as complete of an experience as Guardians or Everest, but man, that's some wacky airtime. Pipeline is great, but it just barely missed my top 10 because of Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. I've never been on a roller coaster that gave me hang time quite like Copperhead Strike. The launch is slow, but every inversion hits on this thing. Not to mention the pops of ejector in between are really well executed. That final airtime hill into the brakes just seals the deal for me. But my favorite moment is actually that Heartline roll out of the station at the beginning. If I get up to Dorney Park, I'm curious to see what that roll on Hydra is like. But man, this roll gets me every time. I love this ride. I have ridden better launch coasters though, so let's head back to Orlando for Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike. What is with expensive coasters and long names? When it opened in 2019, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure was the most expensive roller coaster at a whopping $300 million. Cosmic Rewind has great indoor theming and electronics. This ride has insane outdoor theming. You fly across ponds, trees, and buildings. And where Cosmic Rewind would have a mid-course brake run, Hagrid's has another launch, featuring 7 launches, the most on any roller coaster. It also has some very unique track elements and is a really long ride, almost 3 minutes if I remember correctly. The low thrill fun of Cheetah Hunt plus universal theming makes for an incredible roller coaster. I don't blame anyone who has this as a number 1 because of how fun it is. But let's go back to Busch Gardens Tampa for Montu. Montu opened in 1996, and somehow it still runs like it's brand new. Montu is an inverted roller coaster where the cars sit under the track, which makes for high G-force moments and fighter jet style maneuvers. I'm a sucker for B&M inverts, and I love feeling like I'm in a fighter jet. And Montu does this very well, but it's not my favorite invert, because speaking of jets, we have Afterburn at Carowinds, formerly known as Top Gun the Jet Coaster when it opened in 1999. Afterburn sometimes goes by Mini Montu because its sequencing of elements is very similar. You go into a vertical loop followed by a Millennium Falcon style Immelman and into a 0G roll and a Batwing, which is only featured on these 2 coasters, inverts specifically that is. Afterburn actually runs faster than Montu, on average at 62 miles per hour as opposed to Montu's 60 miles per hour, even though it is smaller. I don't know why this is, but from my experiences, Afterburn was much more intense, and it really felt like I was taking smaller elements at a faster speed. Let's transition though from B&M inverts to flying coasters. At my number 6 spot is Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. Manta is my favorite theming of any SeaWorld coaster, with the Manta Ray Aquarium in the indoor queue. An aquarium itself is something that people would pay money to see. See what I did there? Now put that in a roller coaster line. That is the blend of animal life and amusement park that makes SeaWorld what it is. As for the actual ride, you dive off the lift hill, gliding like a manta ray into a wacky inversion called a pretzel loop, where you nosedive onto your back. And wow, that is some of the most intense positives I've ever felt. While the rest of this ride is more tame, it doesn't change things for me. But I went back and forth between this and Mako. At my number 5 spot is Mako, also at SeaWorld Orlando. It stands 200 feet tall and is one of the best hypers, much better than Thunder Striker. The turnaround, the airtime hills, the theming. I thought this was overrated for a while, but I just got more recent rides to appreciate how incredible those 5-second floater hills are. I just wanted to ride this thing over and over again. I love B&M, but all those I just listed can't even come close to the first RMC to make this list. ArieForce One at Fun Spot Atlanta. This is the most out of control and intense coaster I've ever been on. Positives and negatives, no coaster hauls quite like ArieForce. And it sits in rural Georgia, south of Atlanta in a dead Fun Spot park. There was almost no one there in line when I went. The only problem was the 10-minute dispatches I experienced. I know it's not always this bad, but I've also heard it can be 3 minutes from others. I stopped here only for an hour on a road trip and got 2 rides on this beast, but I already had a headache and my neck hurt just from 2 rides. Intense coasters are fun, but somehow this was too much for me. So at my number 3 spot is Jurassic World VelociCoaster. What do I need to say about this ride? It has great theming, great pacing, great launches, and the most comfortable and minimal lap bars I've ever come across. It's been a while since I've been on this ride, but it's the total package and really feels like the perfect coaster. I think this is the only roller coaster I wouldn't leave a single complaint about. The only thing I can think of is that it's not the most intense coaster I've been on, which, as you've seen, it doesn't need to be. That and the fact that I'll probably have to wait at least an hour every time because this is universal. But I just have to give my minor preference to Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. Not as much airtime as ArieForce One, but it has the stats with that out-of-this-world drop. It has far more head choppers, a more unique layout, including the death roll, my favorite inversion of all time. If you ask me, the arcade roll does not even come close. The arcade roll delivers excellent lateral forces, but this delivered wicked ejector. I can feel the blood rushing to my head throughout the whole inversion. It's the most intense ejector I've ever experienced, and it's upside down while dropping almost 100 feet. Just look at that thing. By far my favorite inversion of all time. It also features the wave turn. The airtime isn't as good as the outer bank on ArieForce One, but it doesn't matter. You're flipped 90 degrees full on, and nothing beats that whippy feeling of going from a bank turn full speed into this. By far my favorite airtime moment ever. I got off this thinking it was my number one. But my number one as of today is Fury 325 at Carowinds. If you haven't noticed already, I'm a B&M fanboy. In addition, I tend to prefer more impressive maneuvers than actually forceful ones. And that is why Fury 325 is my favorite coaster ever. Just looking at the scale of this thing is breathtaking. The drop is the coolest looking one I've ever seen. The layout, the shaping, the colors, the phenomenal presentation gets me hyped every time. As for the actual ride experience, it has the most sustained airtime I've ever felt, with the 320-foot drop and the 157 treble clef, delivering sideways airtime. Not to mention, it sustains its speed with low-to-the-ground turns, yet it gives quality flowjector through each turn. Not to mention, the last three hills have the best ejector on any B&M I've experienced. Well, once again, that's a wrap for my rankings. If you feel up to it, give this video a like, and I'll see you next time.